Our second topic is the scope and delimitation of the study. Our objectives are the following. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to differentiate scope from delimitation, share the importance of knowing the limitation of the study, and indicate the scope and delimitation of one's study. Now, I need you to fix your eyes on the screen and read along with me. A lot survey gives us an idea of the total area of the lot and where the land begins and ends. Or simply said, it gives us a clear picture of the boundaries of the lot. Without the boundaries of the lot owner would have difficult time to determine up to where his lot is. There would be big trouble if one lot owner would own a part of lot that do not actually belong to him because he does not know the boundaries of his lot. Setting boundaries and knowing the limits are very important in many aspects of life. This includes research. In research, this is called scope and delimitation of the study. Moreover, knowing the scope and delimitation would lead you to identify specific person or group of person who could be benefited from your research. The variables which you have considered while determining the scope of the study will also be very useful in illustrating the conceptual framework of your study. The scope of the study is determined by the major variables of the study, while the sub-variables and their characteristics, attributes, or indicators serve as the delimitation. It is also beneficial to mention the locale and the setting of the research and when the data will be gathered. Just a quick review. A variable is any factor or property that a researcher measures, controls, and/or manipulates. It may be a concept or a construct. A concept is generally accepted collection of characteristics that can be defined by a dictionary and commonly used by an educator. Examples are age, civil status, degrees, weight, height, etc. In formulating a scope and delimitation, it is essential that the researcher has already defined the major variables of the study, which are contained in the title of the research and in the general statement of the problem. An example of a major variable is the level of behavior of freshman students. To further clarify the level of behavior of the freshman students, there is a need to define its delimitation. The delimitation pertains to the boundaries of the study with respect to the major variables and is further clarified by their facial expression during recitation and communication skills, discipline, body gestures, attitudes towards classmates, etc. Selecting the sub-variables can be objectively done by determining the reasons why the researcher has chosen them as the limitations. Therefore, the empirical evidence, as well as the authors of the literature upon which the researcher bases his decision, must be noted or referred to. Okay? If you could remember, in grade 11, we always advise you that you have to include variables or sub-variables that have supporting literature or studies only. Alright, so that during the analysis you have studies wherein you can compare your results with. In our example, the scope refers to the level of behavior. Okay, again, level of behavior refers to the major variable or major variables of the study. And the delimitation or the sub-variables of this example will be the facial expressions during recitation, communication skills, and body gestures. Again, you can select the sub-variables depending on your readings. or depending on your references. So if you notice, there can be many types of behavior that can possibly be included in this particular example, but the author chose only these three major behaviors that we can see here under the subvariables or the delimitation. Probably because the author only found related studies or literature pertaining to the subvariables listed here. Furthermore, we can see the specifics of the boundary under the indicators of each subvariable. So, for example, for facial expression, okay? So under facial expression, we have the following indicators. The students smile when answering the questions. The students manifest confidence in their facial expressions. Mannerisms are noted in the face of the students. Different expressions are noted from the students. Students seem to look surprised when asked about concepts. So these are the specifics or the specific concepts that are included under facial expressions. Remember the following important points. First, the scope of the study refers to the parameters under which the study will be operating. The problem you seek to resolve will fit within certain parameters. Think of the scope as the domain of your research. What's in the domain and what is not. You need to make it as clear as possible what you will be studying and what factors are within the accepted range of your study. That's according to Simon M.K. and Gose J. 2013. Okay, second point, limitation. You might have encountered this term before in some of the ready-made research papers. Limitations are matters of occurrences that arise in a study which are out of the researcher's control. They limit the extensity to which the study can go and sometimes affect the end result and conclusion that can be drawn. So usually this part is added after you have already conducted your data gathering and of course the analysis. So that is when you add another part with the subheading limitations. So that's usually after you have written the scope and delimitation. Okay, so as per the definition, occurrences that arise in a study. So meaning those are incidences that the researcher have not anticipated. So like for example, supposedly you have 7 participants to be interviewed for that particular study, for a particular study. However, there were only six of them who were able to participate. Now you have to write down that one as limitation and of course explain the reason. So for instance, your reason was due to the pandemic, general quarantine or community quarantine has been implemented in the borders of General Santos City, which prevented one of the participants from participating in the interview. Okay, so you have to state the reason of that particular limitation. Okay, I hope that one is clear. And the third one is the delimitations of the study. The delimitations of the study are those characteristics that arise from the limitations of the scope of the study. The limitations result from specific choices by the researcher. So again, that is according to Simon M.K. and Gose J. 2013. Here are some of scope and delimitation of the study for your guide. I need you to read along with me. Okay, example number 1. The title of the study is A Proposal for the Production of Bioethanol from Sugarcane Bagasse and Sugarcane Trash in Nigeria. There have been numerous research projects that have extensively reviewed the production of bioethanol from agro-wastes like sugarcane bagasse, rice husk, wheat straw, corn fiber, crop residues, grasses. Therefore, the scope of this research will be limited to comparative analysis using sugarcane bagasse and sugarcane trash as feedstock for the production of bioethanol. Only sugarcane residues, namely bagasse leaves and trash, was experimented on as feedstock for bioethanol production. Other agro-based residues were exempted. The pre-treatment and hydrolysis methods were restricted only to acid pre-treatment and acid hydrolysis. The use of enzymes for the pre-treatment or hydrolysis is ignored. So, as you can see in this example, there can be many other sources of bioethanol, but the author of this paper specifically mentioned the scope of his study. Okay, he specifically pointed out what will be included and what will not be included in his study. Okay, here's another example. Example number 2. Title of the study not indicated. This study focuses on the effects of stress and depression in grade 9 and grade 10 students. The data collection will be conducted to 10% of the total population in grade 9 and grade 10 of Nicolas L. Galvez Memorial Integrated National High School, school year 2017-2018, who will represent the population. This study will not cover other problems that are not considered as one of the stress and depression. The other students which do not fall as part of grade 9 and grade 10 students are not within the scope of the research. The study would be done through the utilization of questionnaire to the students as a survey and reference. By their strategy, the researchers will be able to know the effects of stress and depression to grade 9 and grade 10 students. So same thing, in this particular scope and delimitation, the author clearly pointed out what will be included and what will not be included. And in addition, the researcher also included here the school year. Okay, and at the same time, the percentage of the population who will serve as a sample. This concludes our week 5 lesson. Thank you for listening.